Tim, the relationship with Kobe Bryant and Canadian basketball fans, dare I say, it was forwarded by many things, being a champion, being one of the greats ever, and his relationship with Cabral Richards. And we go back with Cabbie a long way. Cabbie got access to Kobe Bryant that, quite frankly, no one else was getting.
Yeah.
Am I wrong in saying that?
No,
like
not at all.
it was unique, it was heartfelt, it was incredible. And Cabbie is joining us right now on the line from, I would assume, Las Vegas. Cabbie, correct me if I'm wrong. It's not the first time if you did. Where are you?
I'm in Las Vegas.
Okay. We were all thinking of you, man, yesterday. How you doing?
I'm still in a bit of shock, actually, but I've been comforted over the last, I want to say, 4 to 6 hours, just consuming and digesting like great Kobe moments and hearing anecdotes. Like yesterday, obviously, is the shock, and you're just taking in the tragedy, and you're thinking about Vanessa Bryant and her family, and you're thinking about the other, I suppose, 7 passengers on that helicopter, along with Kobe and Gianna. But today, I was listening to a podcast, and I was messaging my friend Dave McMenamin at ESPN, and, just he mentioned that he got a forearm shiver from Kobe. I'm like, I remember when he put me in a headlock, like silly things like that, but that would bring a smile to your face because you're remembering the incredible moments you have with them, or not even incredible, like the regular moments that you have with them. And you guys know, we all grew up together, and we all grew up together along with Kobe Bryant. We were all around the same age as Kobe, and we were all there at the score. And I'd come back, DK and I would come back with these stories, and then the audience would get to experience like a human version of Kobe. And all I wanted to do was make them laugh. And I'm sure I borrowed things from you, Tim, and I certainly borrowed things from Sid's very sharp wit and humor, and I would bring those things into these interviews. And then we got to see and experience Kobe not as this mythological basketball god, but as a regular human. We heard him laugh, we heard his dry sense of humor, and me being the butt of the jokes, I would lob him softballs and he'd hit it out of the park. And those are the things that are comforting today as I continue to process the fact that he's no longer with us.
Yeah, we're kind of doing the same sort of transition, or at least attempting to do the same sort of transition. And for the kids out there that might not remember the magic that you produced with Kobe back in the day on the score, how the hell did Cabbie on the street get to the point where I was simply saying Cabbie and Kobe, and you were traveling with him in limousines, and how did you get to that point with him, and how did he allow you in, especially when you consider, where he was on the global scale of, he was among the biggest stars in the world.
That's correct, and I came along at a time when he wasn't as popular, and that certainly helped. And you know me, when I go into interviews, I'm not going in with an agenda. I'm not a journalist. I'm more, as you coined it, Tim, a long time ago, I'm more of the edutainment sort of DNA. More on the attainment side than the edu. Edu is what you and Sid do so well. But I got to interview him 3 or 4 times, I think 4 times within the span of 4 months. And I really have to credit Jim LeBombard, the former director of media relations for the Toronto Raptors, and Allison Bogley, who's the current director of media relations for the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBombard vouched for me when Allison Bogley was like, who is this guy bugging Kobe, asking to stay at his house? And if it wasn't for LeBombard saying, he's harmless, he's a local guy, then I may not have gotten access to Kobe Bryant, and my career would probably be different, because unlike any other athlete, he elevated my career differently than anybody. And the closest person who I'm having a similar relationship with, and we were messaging last night, is Aaron Rodgers. And because of Kobe's impact and allowing me to just be a goofball, this chubby reporter asking to stay at his house, then asking for his address, then his phone number, and then getting another phone number. And then I sung to Kobe, he sung to me. I brought pillows, like all these, a lunchbox, all these random things, which culminated in, and this is the part that really, really stung yesterday is, you know, Dave Cricks and I were among the few that's ever flown in a helicopter with Kobe Bryant. Like, I remember when I pitched him that idea, I was hosting this video games contest, this NBA 2K. It was, I think maybe even before it was rebranded NBA 2K. I think it was NBA Live. It was him versus Carmelo. And when we were at dinner that night, I said, Kobe, I'd love to do an interview where, you know, we fly in a helicopter. And I didn't know that he had his own. And I think the way that the tragedy unfolded yesterday, that part was like particularly troubling. And because we had that shared experience, and I don't know how many other people have had that, but I was the only person that he ever granted that access to was flying in a helicopter with him. So it's weird, man. I came along at the right time. I think being Canadian helps because now living in the United States, I can feel it firsthand that people love us. We're Canadians. We're nice, you know. They, you know, and that probably certainly helped. But definitely going into these interviews and going into these interactions with Kobe without an agenda and just trying to have fun when other people had a different POV, that certainly helped connect to Kobe Bryant.
Cabral Richards of the Score Television Network joining us here on Tim and Sid, and also Bleacher Report and formerly of Sportsnet. You know the drill by now. Cab, what was he like when the cameras were off?
He was very gracious. You know, he was encouraging. I think, you know, DK and I, my man D and I were talking yesterday, and we were recalling the time that I pitched him. I would always pitch him ideas. Like I would go with 2 or 4 ideas every year. And the last time I pitched him ideas, one was to do something, well, not the last time, maybe the second last time I pitched him ideas. One was to do something in Toronto during the All-Star weekend, which was his final All-Star game. And, you know, Toronto gave him like a resounding chorus of applause and an ovation. One was to do like this AA group, but with like superheroes, because Kobe had created, like, remember it was like the Kobe system commercials, and then it was rebranded to Mamba Mentality. Like he created his own mystique, but then delivered because he was a champion, because of his tenacious competitiveness. And then this is the one that he really loved. And I got to credit my friend Nigel Downer, who you guys both know, who's a comedian or a comedic performer in the city. We were playing squash, and then Nigel he's like, what if Kobe didn't go to the NBA? And I was like, ooh, like what? I remember he wanted to go to Duke, and I was like, what if he didn't go to Duke? Or what if he went to Duke instead of the NBA? And that was the basis of the sketch. Kobe and I would have been roommates at Duke. So when I pitched him this idea, he goes, this is really funny. And I started beaming, and then he used some choice language that I can't use on TV about what our relationship would be if we were roommates. But it was like that kind of stuff was what he encouraged. It's like a new set of ideas, fresh pitches, and then just being gracious with his time and energy. And I appreciate it. You know, I was, as close as we were, he still kind of kept me at arm's length. And I'll tell this story real quick. It was about a year ago. I sent him an email, like, Kobe, I would love to introduce you at the Basketball Hall of Fame. It would be totally out of left field. I'm a great speechwriter. Like, I would really pour my heart and soul into to introduce you into this basketball eternity. No response. He basically left me on red, like zero. But we were messaging over the holidays and New Year's Eve, you know, extending both like a New Year's Eve, and had a nice exchange both ways, and I appreciate them so much.
I know you appreciate it, and I know you've been emotional, and you're my dude, so it hurts me to hear you get emotional. So I don't want to take you there. I want to celebrate. I know that you cut together all those pieces with Kobe Bryant. You got the highlights, the moments, the greatest of the great. As a player, what are your favorite memories of Kobe Bryant?
Oh, what a great question. Oh my gosh. As a player, shout out to Brendan Lynch, who's a producer and editor at Sportsnet. He would create court cuts, which either you gave him the idea or Brendan just started doing that on his own. But remember we had court cuts like shows, and I think we either had a Vince Carter full 30 minutes or a Kobe Bryant full 30 minutes because their highlights were so
too many of them, yeah. Yeah.
Right? It was okay.
I tweeted out earlier today, I tweeted out the 7-minute version from 2011 court cuts, honestly.
I mean, that's incredible. Okay, there was the baseline in Madison Square Garden, up and under on Latrell Sprewell was a big one. There was 62 points in 3 quarters against the Dallas Mavericks. Kobe's like whipping his shirt, like he unleashes this primordial scream. And then personally, like I got to interview him after 2 times, after 2009, the NBA Finals, and 2010. But in 2010, I brought him an Oscar, and I think DK had just had it in his bag. Or maybe we bought it when we were in Los Angeles because they won in Game 7 against Boston on their home court. And I remember him counting on his fingers that he had more championships than Shaq. And that was such a huge deal for him because they hadn't embraced each other the way they had later in life. But, Kobe didn't have that great of a game in Game 7, but he was still the Finals MVP. But just watching that was probably the most exciting sporting event I've ever gone to, was the back and forth of Game 7s, these 2 heated rivals, and then my guy winning and then getting 5 minutes with him afterwards was just those are things that I remember about Kobe. I don't want to bring up the 81-point game because that hurts us being from Toronto.
Yeah, but it happened, and we need to acknowledge it. It's fine.
It's okay because we're even saying it should go up to the rafters in Toronto.
I'm not Jalen Rose. You bring it up all day. I'm fine with it.
Remember, Mo Pete got some of that work.
Mike James.
Joey Graham.
Who?
Mike James. Jose Calderon got nice one.
I looked at the box score that Mike James was like a minus 40 that game. He was a minus 40. They were using the Stableford scoring system. He was a minus 40.
Listen, it is absolutely wonderful to be able to talk to you on TV again, though we both wish it was under different circumstances. Thanks for doing this. Man. I know it's been an emotional couple of days for you, but it's kind of nice to smile and laugh and remember the good, too.
Yes, and it's great to reminisce with you guys specifically because we all started together. We all came up together. We all watched Kobe become an icon together, and we all shared in these moments, which I was lucky enough to have with him. But we all shared that together. So today's been awesome speaking with you guys.
Yeah, it's funny. DK broke the news to me, and I was more proud of those pieces and I had nothing to do with them, than you guys actually doing them. So it's awesome to be able to do this with you, my man.
Appreciate that.
Right. Take care. There is the one and only Cabral Richards gracing us with his presence. We've basically all known each other since we were 20.
Yeah.
I'm not exaggerating on that. And none of us have aged a bit. Okay, maybe a few of us have aged.
What?
Maybe a few of us have aged.
I still didn't have hair. So if this is a hair crack, don't worry about it.
It's a lot of cracks.